Hello and welcome to this week's edition of WCS Sports Connection. I'm your co-host, Jimmy Qualls, and with me as always is my co-host, Tate Mathews. Tate, spring sports is about to finish up. We got tournaments coming on. The radar, let's start with baseball first, talk about what's going on there. The baseball tournament this year will be held at Summit High School. Fittingly so, since Summit right now finishes with the number one seed and the bye. Not only that, Tate, they have gone slowly but surely up the rankings this year. Max Preps now has them ranked as the number one team in AAA baseball.
That's pretty impressive. When you're talking about the entire state, you got Farragut in the east, Arlington in the west, and then all the great teams that are here right now. So that's a heck of a ranking, and I know that Coach Kirby probably isn't real happy about that. He's really more interested about the tournament and keeping them, I guess, grounded. I don't think he's going to have trouble with that, but that it's well deserved. They're playing as good a baseball as anybody in the state.
Well, they've run off 10 straight wins right now. The only losses that they've had, Independence picks up a game in the series. Franklin picked up a game earlier in the series, but loses the series, both of them. And they lost to Columbia Central and Chapel Hill, who's also ranked highly in single-A baseball. Of course, as we've talked before, probably not a true form of their top guys pitching or whatever the case may be, but that's neither here nor there. But 10 straight wins, and right now they're looking to be playing really good baseball going into Region 3, District 11 baseball.
Well, and here's the great thing is we've had the baseball coaches on through the year. That means they're guaranteed to go on to the region. Now, he still wants to go in and win this district tournament, as does the players. But, man, that's a little bit of a relief off your back. And it's a reward for what you've done in the regular season. But regardless of what happens, they move on to the region. So now really what they're playing for is bragging rights of district tournament champions and home field in the region. But either way, they're moving on.
Well, you know that since they're hosting the tournament, he's not wanting to be a gracious host,
No.
so he's wanting to win it. So let's look at the rundown right now. Centennial coming in as the 4 seed, playing number 5 seed Indy. That game is Saturday, starting at 4 o'clock. And the winner of that game will face Summit in that second round on Sunday at 1 o'clock. Brentwood is coming in as the number 3 seed, going against Ravenwood. We have a mini battle of the woods right there to move forward. Ravenwood is sitting in the 6th slot right now. That game is Saturday at 1:30. All these games are at Summit High School. The number 2 team right now is Franklin, and they will be facing number 7 Dixon County Saturday at 11. Let's talk real quick. Let's make your predictions on this tournament right here. Let's look at round 1, Centennial versus Indy. I think Rob Boffman gets this win right here and moves forward to play Summit in the second round. What do you think?
I'm going to go Indy.
You're going to go Indy on the upset?
Yeah.
I don't know if it's necessarily an upset because those guys between Centennial, Indy, Brentwood, Ravenwood, Franklin, it's been a log jam for those spots. Anybody can win any night. And, you know, you can almost throw Summit in there. Summit has beaten these guys, but they have absolutely seen the best of these teams. That's
Sure.
what happens when you're the number 1 ranked team. Like you said, Coach Kirby would not even want to bring that number 1 ranking up. He gets mad if we tweet it out, but we're tweeting it anyways. But
we ought to get him like a big we're number 1 foam finger and go to the game, stand behind the backstop or the dugout.
I agree. So you're going to take Indy, and then I'm going to take Centennial, Brentwood versus Ravenwood, Battle of the Woods. Who do you have there?
Brentwood.
I'm going to go Teddy Craig and Ravenwood. Pulling a small upset there. Ravenwood has kind of been a roller coaster this year, up and down, up and down. I think just got the feeling right there. Teddy Craig, Danny Bourne, crew get that win.
Well, and like we talked about, they know how to play tournament baseball. These guys were obviously younger, but you know, 2 straight state tournaments. So this is the time of year they know how to play well. So you're right. They could be an upset in the making.
What about Franklin Dixon? 2-7 game Saturday 11 o'clock. I don't see anything happening there. Franklin playing really good baseball. I really foresee a Franklin Summit championship there. Once again, a little rematch from that earlier series over spring break. Be interesting. Logan Jarvis playing really good baseball right now. McIlvain on the mound. Championship game, man, that will be fun to watch.
Yeah, I would say Franklin scores a lot of runs against Dixon County. They're probably going to light them up.
Be a lot of, you know, it could be a lot like my AU team right now. It'll be over in 45 minutes.
Is this coach pitch?
This is coach pitch,
Sweet.
yes. So it's over quick, 45 minutes, you're out, especially if you get up by 15 runs or more, which we're not trying to do. We're trying to teach how to play the game, but we want to win. So
right.
it goes quick. All right, so that is the rundown. Once again, that begins all at Summit this coming weekend on Saturday. The first round Saturday, it'll be second round on Sunday, and it will progress all the way to Tuesday, Wednesday, and the championship game would be on Thursday of next week. And that championship game will be at 7 p.m. Softball right now, we talked a little bit about it last week. Dixon County right now is head and shoulders better, probably one of the best AAA teams in the state, if not the best. 32-4-1 right now, 11-0 in district play. They have not lost a district game. But after that, it is pretty much up for grabs for the second slot all the way down. Ravenwood sitting in second place right now, 7-3 in the district. Indy is at 7-4 at third place. Brentwood at 6-5. Summit at 6-5. So really pretty much 2 through the 5th slot right now is up for grabs.
I agree, and you got to give Allison Tyree credit. It's her first year as the head coach there at Ravenwood, and when we were looking at these standings just a few weeks ago, you're right, it was so tight there, and we didn't know between Independence, Ravenwood, Brentwood. I think Brentwood and Ravenwood were playing that day we were talking about it. So they could have gone either way. They could have easily slid all the way down to 5th. But ended up second place in the region her first year. And again, you're ending up second because quite possibly the best team in AAA is in your district. So I would say very successful first year, regular season for her.
Well, since we're on the WILLCO watch right now, Libby Sugg, former Franklin, Lady Rebel, WILLCO winner last year in the softball category. Sent a shout out to all of our WILLCO nominees. Very nice of her, and I'm very appreciative that she did it. But she's absolutely destroying the competition at BYU.
Well, and it just goes to show she's a true freshman. It just goes to show people around here, they quit pitching to her after her freshman year. She hit double-digit homers as a freshman. So I realize there's probably nothing you can do about that, but I hate that. I mean, what could have been had people been pitching to her the whole time she was there? There's no telling how many she would have hit.
Well, first round will be at the higher seed in the softball, the way that works, starting and beginning on May the 5th, Thursday, and then the remainder of the tournament will be at Ravenwood High School on Friday, May 6th, and then starting at 4:30 and 6:30 respectively for those games at Ravenwood. So it'd be interesting to see. Right now, it's still up in the air. Obviously, Dixon's going to fall in that number 1 slot. Centennial's going to fall in that number 7 slot. Right now, they've yet to win a district game. Centennial a little bit struggling, as the ebb and flow of public school systems go, right. But have one of the best players in the WCS Sports Conference in Kaylin Hannon.
Yep, and so who knows if she can get some bats, get the bat going. I mean, that's what's tough about softball, man. I mean, you talk about it all the time. You got to find a way to manage and have more than one arm in baseball. Softball, if you have a pitcher, you can ride that the whole way through. And, obviously Dixon County has Brooklyn Lee. She's a really good one, but it's just so tough when you don't have that. But she's fun to watch, and she's going to keep on playing. So maybe they can sneak one out in the tournament.
That's right. Caitlin Hanlon will be going to UT as a UT signee in softball, so it'll be interesting to see how her career goes as she moves forward. District 11 soccer right now, Franklin wraps up the district championship, the regular season district championship. Right now we have a big game this week for second and third place. Independence plays Ravenwood. You got to think that for seeding place, you really want to win that game to kind of stay away from the Franklin situation until the championship game. In 4th place right now, Brentwood. 5th place is Centennial. 6th is Dixon, and 7th is Summit.
Yeah, I think Franklin's by far and away the best team. Doesn't mean they can't get beat come tournament time, but they're really playing well. They don't give up very many goals at all, playing great defense. And so I think they're the clear number 1. And you're right, that Independence Ravenwood game, that's big because you want to be on that other side of the bracket if you can. Just like baseball, we talk about it all the time, kind of like this in softball too. If you can just get out of the district tournament, you're going to have to go on the road on the region, but history shows we usually win both those games.
Well, there's still a lot of things up in the air for soccer. I know that Summit Dixon County, see Dixon was in last, Summit was in 6th, but it got called due to thunder and lightning, and they called the game, but the game had progressed enough that it was considered a win for Dixon. They were up 1-0 at that point in time. But there's still some games to go this week that will determine the seeding, so we'll keep you up to date on that as we go. And it's kind of like the softball. The higher seeds will host the first round game starting on May 9th at 6 p.m. and the remainder of the tournament will be at Ravenwood High School starting May 11th at 5 and 7. And so if you want any spring sports action, Ravenwood High School obviously is hosting a lot. We've got the softball there. You've got soccer there. Baseball being at Summit. The championships for the soccer will be on May 12th there. So be interesting to watch that. Talk very briefly about your sport that you were so good in was tennis. And you still play to this day. If you haven't seen, I've got a picture of Tate in his sweatbands and his tennis club. It's great. But
I still got my Prince racket.
This may be the first time. It may be the first time that we've actually talked about tennis, and I think we need to give those guys a little bit of credit about what's going on. We have such good tennis teams and individuals in this state. We've got nationally ranked players. Ravenwood obviously is a huge dynasty and won the last 6 state championships, and Brentwood took down Ravenwood in district play.
Yeah, that's big. And Brentwood was the dynasty before Ravenwood, so they kind of feel like they're just taking back what was theirs. But between those two programs, I mean, it's unbelievable. And then Franklin's done a great job too. They're sitting there at 4-2. I'm going to assume those 2 losses are to Brentwood and Ravenwood, right? Probably.
No doubt.
So, I mean, that's a heck of a year right there. So you're right. We got a lot of great tennis players.
But think about how it's set up. You've got individual matches. You've got team matches. With that, 6-0, 51-3. 51-3 in all their matches combined for Brentwood. Brentwood sitting in first, like I said, at 6-0. Ravenwood in second, 5-1 as a team, 45-9 in their matches. And you'd have to say that all their 9, I would assume that all their 9 losses in the individual matches probably came from the Brentwood matches.
That's right.
Franklin sitting in third right now. This is in the boys' standings in tennis at 4-2, 32-22 in match play. Summit came in 4th place at 3-3. Independence is sitting in 5th place right now at 2-4. Centennial at 6th place, 1-5. Dixon at 0-6. Unfortunately for Dixon, they happen to be when it comes to soccer, tennis, golf, any of those sports right there, football. It's a bad go. But for whatever reason, their female side of sports things, you got to think Lily Carter and the Dixon County Lady Bobcats
State
basketball team, their softball team, always very powerful in that. Now that goes to the fact that probably you could classify them a rule system compared to Williamson, and in those rule systems, they don't spread the wealth as much as far as having all these athletic contests that they can share the athletes. But with basketball and softball, you can book it. They're going to be pretty good.
Yeah, and the thing that's pretty impressive about that is they're different girls. It's not like they're dual sport athletes that they're sharing. They've got their softball girls and they've got their basketball girls. And they just have a lot of female athletics. But now, Dixon County has got a long tradition of being successful in football. It just hasn't been that way in the past few years. But, the people from there, they still remember. You still see the bumper stickers, man. 1988 AAA state champions under Coach Pearson. So got a new coach, and Coach Murphy. He's going to, I think he's going to try to get them back where they are. Problem is he's in a pretty tough football district.
He is in a tough football district. I like Murphy. He's a buddy of mine. Obviously, we go back. We've got a little connection. He was, he worked at Hickman County for a little bit of time. And
that was his first head job.
And that will be interesting to see how he goes. His brother was a quarterback at Waverly. Great player back in the day, in the glory days of 1992 through 96.
Rodney McElwain, was that his name? He was a running back. He was good too.
And it'd be interesting to see. On the girls' standing side of tennis, as we continue down our glory road path here of living the old days, Brentwood Lady Bruins 6-0, 52-2 in matches. So if you do your math on this, Tate, right now, we're talking about over 103 matches and 5 losses between the boys and girls program at Brentwood.
Yeah, that's a good season. But Ravenwood's right there behind them. So, again, a tournament sport, right? I mean, that's the great thing about the spring is regular season's nice and they're good for bragging rights and seedings, but they're going to have to keep playing well because Ravenwood is, they're right underneath them.
Ravenwood, obviously, in the girls' side, is in second, 43-11, 5-1 overall as a team. Summit in third, Independence in fourth, Franklin in fifth, and Centennial in sixth, and Dixon Lady Bobcats tennis team 0-6 coming in. So, I mean, it's interesting to see here the dynamics of the tennis, it looks like to me from 3rd to 6th place could probably go any way. Obviously, 1 and 2 are head and shoulders better than Summer Henry is a name that you need to be watching. Summer Henry is the outstanding player for Brentwood, Lady Bruins tennis team. Won the state championship last year as an individual. I think she is a freshman or sophomore, so she's got plenty of years to go. Katie DeWald over at Ravenwood. I mean, and Sam Fisher on the men's side on Brentwood. We've got so many good tennis players.
I'm excited to see what happens in the tournament.
All right, for our WILLCO watch, let's look at our winter sports. Last week we hit on our fall sports, and this is a loaded group, Tate. Let's start with girls basketball. These are the finalists for the WILLCOs coming up on May 19th. And representing the Division II category of girls basketball, Peyton Clark from Page, very good player. On Division I side, we have Kiera Downey from Ravenwood, Holly Harris from Franklin, and Z. Esmond from Summit. That is a good group of female basketball players.
Well, and not only that, aren't Z, Holly, and Downey, they're all sophomores, right?
All sophomores.
We could see this.
Well, Z is actually a junior.
Z's a junior? Okay, so for 2 more years, we could see at least 3 of these 4 be the same. That's going to be fun to watch, you're right. On the boys basketball side, Garrett Sharp of Page, John Carter of Summit, Grayson Murphy of Indy, and KJ LaSure of Centennial. That's a good one.
That's a star-studded pack right now. While we're talking about that, I know our boy JC, John Carter, is playing on the summer circuit right now, as well as Grayson Murphy playing with We All Can Go Basketball. This is a big-time organization, AAU-wise. I'm not certain of JC's numbers, but I do know that Grayson has been to Brooklyn, played in the Brooklyn tournament. He's played down in Georgia, and has scored anywhere from 18 to 20 in contests. Now, this is not your typical AAU group that is statewide. This group is a top echelon organization that flies all across the country, playing with heavy major Division I talent on this team. Grayson Murphy holding his on. You know, we talk about this quite frequently. We see these kids play day in and day out. We know them personally. We can go up and have conversations with them. And we always ask ourselves, how really good are these guys? You know, then you go to the Station Kemp game, and you watch him single-handedly almost beat Station Kemp to get in the state tournament. You watch John Carter play all these years, and we really don't know. And then they get out in the summer circuit, and then all of a sudden they're holding their own. I'm going to tell you right now, the recruiting watch on these 2 guys right here, the sky is the limit. It'll be fun to watch. Last year, obviously, we had Lipscomb pretty much pitch a camp down here in Williamson County, watching those 2 guys play. Standing offers from Casey Alexander to Grayson Murphy right now on the table. Austin P extended an offer to Grayson Murphy at the Station Kemp game. So OVC representation right now, as well as Lipscomb and other mid-major Division I, is on the table. I'm thinking that after this summer circuit is over, that both these guys may crack into the higher Division I group and or get more offers at the mid-major group.
I hope so, because they're both fun to watch. They're both good kids. You know, they're going to come to school. They're not going to embarrass you. They're going to go to class and pass. And you know, if this past weekend or week has been any indication of that, you know, I mean, we saw that up close and personal. I was on a bigger scale, but still, you know, you got to get good kids into your program, or you can end up with a black eye, and that's going to be bigger and bigger a part of recruiting as it keeps on going on now with social media and everything. I mean, you want kids that are going to come and be good citizens and not embarrass the school, much less the program. Both these guys fit that mold. And then back to when we had Coach Kerb in the other day. He was talking about Coach Goodwin in there in the weight room with him. I saw them last week. I was over there. The football team and the basketball team was in there, and John was getting after it, man. They all were, but it was pretty neat to see. I think his body's going to look different come next November.
Well, the basketball landscape for next year is going to be awesome. I mean, you're talking about the border battle being something.
Oh yeah.
I mean, because you've got Ty Carter, you've got John Carter, you've got the freshman that'll be a sophomore. The name escapes me right now. He's playing extremely good ball on the summer circuit with the Tennessee Tigers. Coach Goodwin's going to kill me for forgetting his name, but he's playing really well. Yes, Jaden Lewis.
Yeah.
He's playing really good basketball as well on the summer circuit for Coach Chip Smith at the Franklin Tigers program. The Tennessee Tigers program. But let's talk about that. Coach Goodwin taking over that program. Greg Glass established a program two different kids, great ambassadors, not only for their schools but for the sports conference, just like you talked about. One's a little flashier than the other, but both of them get it done. JC quietly goes about knocking on a triple-double door every single night, and these coaches are bound to just have to be drilled and watch this kid play because there's nothing. He's an ultimate team player, quiet, mannered, and then on the other side you've got Grayson, who I love to watch. I mean, he's getting out there and going with it and doing those things, so it'd be interesting to watch. Continuing on with our Wilco Watch, boys wrestling. Houston Tidewater from Page, Chris Rowland, Cole Eiler from Centennial, right there on the boys' side. Those are three great wrestlers. Chris Rowland, back-to-back state runner-up.
And was 1 point away from being state champion and I believe undefeated for the year. And he ran up against a guy at Bradley Central who was a dude himself. So, I mean, I know he came up a little short, but we saw him when he was there. I saw him. I was there at the match, and I just hate it for him because he's got nothing to be down on. What a great wrestling career he had. But I'm talking literally. Think about that. 1 point, came up 1 point short. So, but great wrestling career.
On the girls' side, the three finalists for the Wilcos on the girls' wrestling: Jayla Grimes at Summit, Peyton Marsh at Page, and Macy DuBois from Indy. Jayla Grimes, first ever state champion in Summit history.
Yep, I would have to think she's the favorite in that.
You think so?
Yeah, I mean,
not only
she
that,
could probably beat some of the boys.
Not only that, she's also a very fast runner, so she's an intricate part on the track team.
Yep.
So also she's going to be up for Female Athlete of the Year. On the boys bowling side, Patrick Wolf from Brentwood, Clayton Mayfield from Ravenwood, and Ian Spallinger, who's also a great baseball player from Centennial. This is the second year in a row that Centennial has put a bowler into the finalist categories, and both of them were baseball players. Ian Spallinger this year, and the kid last year was also a baseball player. You're the bowling expert, so let us. What is your outlook on that?
I think that's a pretty tight race. But hey, we talk about. I love multi-sport athletes, dual sport athletes. That's a dual sport athlete right there, man. So,
Adam Mancour was the other guy last year.
Pretty
He was
good,
a pitcher from Centennial.
Is Newt in your ear and an
He
earpiece?
is. He's letting me know who it is. Thanks, Creed. Thanks, Newt, for that update. Girls bowling, Kara Oberstadt from Page, Maddie Sherwood, dual sport, plays softball as well from Franklin, and Cammie Barber, who is a 2 year in a row, Maddie as well. Both of them were finalists last year for girls bowling.
Dual sport. I'm going. Are you asking my prediction or just?
Sure.
I think Maddie Sherwood. I think she's
Think
the
so?
favorite. Yep.
Think so? Okay. And then we have our cheer category: Kylie Betchley from Ravenwood, Ann Tinkoff from Centennial, and Anna Glenn Grove, who is a WCS Sports Game Day analyst, if you will, and sideline reporter. This
Carries the show.
This young lady is truly talented.
Yeah.
And I look forward to seeing her future as she goes. Director Cup points right now, the standings on that will also be given out that night. First place, 630 points. The Brentwood Bruins are rolling away with it. Ravenwood sitting at 472, Independence at 450, and in fourth, Franklin at 390, fifth, Summit 377, and in sixth, Centennial 318. We still have many points to go, but it looks like right now Brentwood is absolutely, they've got a far enough lead that it might be mathematically impossible that anybody takes the Director Cup from Brentwood. In the Division II side, Page at 386, Fairview at 185, still a lot of points there too, but looks like Page could repeat as Director Cup champions.
Yeah. And it came down, to the last day last year when Ravenwood finally caught them. But
it was a little closer last year.
That's what I thought so. That's going to be. But hey.
Anything can happen.
Anything can happen.
Anything can happen. Spring football, man. It's that time of the year. We love it. We talked a little bit about it last week. Kreisky Bowl was postponed, so we'll have information to talk about that next week. But I want to talk real quick on our recruiting watch. Landon Guidry right now is blowing up. Recruiters, Independence defensive backs picked up offers from Arkansas State, Cincinnati, Memphis, Vanderbilt, MTSU, Toledo, Samford, and Tennessee Tech. And I think the dominoes are just starting to fall for this young man.
Yeah. He's going to. That offer list, if he sits tight, is going to keep on growing and just, word spreads. And he's a heck of an athlete, and he's a guy who can do a lot of things. He can cover the field. And so he's going to be able to go and play his college football somewhere where it's going to be on TV, I guess is the best way to put it, But very, very, they just keep coming out of Independence. They've got that thing rolling now, and it's fun to watch. And then, he's just going to be a sophomore, but we talked about him a little bit. T.J. Sheffield, get ready, because he's Nate's little brother, and he's going to be. They're going to be a lot of people heading down to Thompson Station to recruit him in the next couple of years. He's going to be fun.
Well, let's look at our quarterback watch from this upcoming year. We're talking off air that the quarterback, obviously one of the most important positions in football. Let's talk about who we got coming back for our teams.
Yeah, well, when you look at it, Summit's the only one that returns their starting quarterback from last year. Now, Franklin, I shouldn't quite say it like that. Kyle Evans and Wes Patterson split time last year for Franklin, and they were both, a very big part of the success they had. So Kyle obviously has graduated. Wes Patterson will be back. He's competing for the job with Kalen Hendry in spring football, which is going on right now for Dr. Defense's crew. And I think Franklin is a sleeper out there. People, they had a really good year last year. If you talk to most of the coaches in the conference, they'll all tell you, there was. How do you pick, man? Obviously, Independence and Coach Blade win the state championship, and they're the only undefeated team in the state. Coach Hester and Ravenwood win the 6A state championship. But a lot of those guys will tell you the job they did over at Franklin last year might have been the best job. And they got 4 out of 5 starting offensive linemen returning from last year. They got Max Ray, who everybody in the universe is offering.
I'm going to make a prediction. We see the straw hat walk into Howard Gamble Stadium before the year's out. The straw hat folks will be in attendance, and everybody will lose their mind. Nick Saban will be in this county before the year's out, because right now he's currently with Georgia on a verbal,
right,
which absolutely means nothing in today's time. I firmly believe that Nick Saban will make a visit to WCS Sports.
I think that'd be the first time.
Could be.
I think it'd be. Alabama's been in here, but I don't know that he's been here before. So that'd be big. I'm not a big Saban guy, but that's okay. That would be pretty neat. But and then Caden Williams, he's another offensive lineman. He's going to be a senior for Franklin. You watch. It's starting to pick up on him for the recruiting. So he's going to have a lot of offers at the end of it too. Alex Gacka, he's going to blow up this
Plays
year.
on the corners on the outside.
That's right.
Good athlete,
good
receiver.
Athlete, big player. And
also a big-time hockey player.
Yep. And Franklin's going to be good this year. They got a scrimmage with Smyrna, or as Coach Dan Winfrey, the offense coordinator at Franklin, says, Smyrna, later on this week. Friday, that'll be a good test. Well, now both of them got a lot of guys out because of spring sports.
Sure.
But that's going to be a good test to where they are. I think Franklin is going to have a really good year next year.
All right, real quick, we've got about 45 seconds. 6A football right now. Preseason, Ravenwood, Franklin, who you got?
Oh, Franklin.
5A football right now. Independence, Summit, Centennial, Brentwood. Who's the best coming out of 5A?
It's hard to go against Coach Crawford, and all those guys are really good. But I think until somebody beats Independence, man, you got to go with Independence.
Give me your Ric Flair quote, please.
To be the man, you got to beat the man.
I think outside shot of repeating.
That'd be pretty awesome.
I'm telling you right now, you better look out. Their speed's going to be there. They're picking up some people there.
When you talk to him, you can tell he's quietly confident about this.
Yes, and he was not that confident about the team this year.
Right.
So it's be interesting to see that dynamic. Coach Christ at Centennial, don't sleep on those guys. They're working like no other. Yeah. So it'd be interesting to see on that. So, well, thank you. We'll continue our football talk, spring football next week, and continue our WILLCO watch. Thank you for joining us for WCS Sports Connection. We'll see you next time.